Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of IIT India's Walk the Tech Talk series Season 2 in association with India Automated. In case you have missed out on any of our previous episodes or episodes of Season 1 of Walk the Tech Talk series, then please do check them out on IIT India's YouTube channel. Before we begin with today's episode, I would like to give you a sneak peek into the world of the IIT. The Institution of Engineering and Technology is one of the oldest and largest professional society for engineers. Soon to turn 150, our mission is to engineer a better world. Our areas of focus include future of mobility and transport, future technologies, and future of work. In case you would like to become a member of the IET, all that you will need to do is send us an email at indiamembership@theiet.in. Without further delay, I would like to welcome on stage your host for this series, Mr. Pranjal Sharma, the author of India Automated, to introduce today's topic of discussion and our speaker guest.
Thank you, Johnny. And now let me welcome our guest for today on Walk the Tech Talk, Sukla Chandra, who's Managing Director of GE Licensing and Technology Transfer. Thanks, Shukla, for being with us. Can we begin by understanding, what you do? You're one of the women leaders in GE and also in technology, but let's get an idea of what you've been doing.
First of all, Pranjal, great to be here with you. So let me start by saying, I am by a profession a chemical engineer, and I've been with GE for now 20 years, working in different areas, and I'll give you a glimpse of mainly in the last few years what I have been looking at. So I've always been very passionate about technology and science and engineering, and that's why I chose this as a profession. So in the GE Technology R&D Center in Bangalore, I've been there for 20 years. There are several roles I have had. And one of the role has been, leading the research team within that organization. And we had about 350 scientists with me. And GE, this is a corporate research unit, and we would do several different projects for different GE businesses in aircraft engines, power sector, which is GE Power, healthcare. That time GE also had transportation. So that was a very, very interesting role for me. And then I switched to a very interesting opportunity within GE, which was part of GE Power, developing a product for catering to the people who do not have energy access. So affordable power for 1.2 billion people who do not have power today. So I worked on that project. I'm still working on that. And I got really, really excited and passionate about that area. So I worked on as a global product lead for that for GE, and then moved to my current role, which is the technology transfer and leading the commercial deals for GE globally. So I'm based out of Bangalore, but I have teams in China, Korea, Japan, and US. And we are looking at different technologies which is developed by GE across the globe and try to see that whether we can share the technology with the external world. And whatever technologies GE develop, it has a purpose. It's a huge impact in the society, whether it's healthcare, whether it's transportation, whether it's jet engine or power generation. So what I do is basically try to see those technologies can be used in another sector. So working with my teams across the globe and the research units across the globe to make that happen.
It's very special situation and position you have, Shukla, because not just as a woman in technology sector, but as a chemical engineer. I don't think there are too many chemical engineers with your kind of background.
It's chemistry has been something which has always fascinated me. So when I choose my degree, I chose to be a chemical engineer. But to be very frank with you, Pranjal, it's not that I'm working on hands-on chemical engineering currently. If you look at my role as a product lead for the rural electrification or the platform for hybrid power generation, chemical engineering is far from it. So to me, science and technology, when you have the basis, you can actually branch out in anything, because then you have the knowledge and the logic, and in the best part of working is GE, you have the best team working with you. So you have the experts who are there with you, which is going to make the project successful. But yes, chemical and engineering has always been my passion.
There is a big debate, Shukla, about bringing more women and gender diversity in technology. and you are leading that in many ways, and you're a great example of what can be done. Several thoughts are there about how to attract girls to take up STEM studies. And of course there are these debates about how, if you look at computer science and the whole techie world, has basically pushed out women and girls because of a boys club situation. How do you see the situation developing and changing now? Do you see an improvement, especially from an India perspective?
Absolutely, Pranjal. I think there is so much happening, and you're right. So I've been working in this area for the longest time. So I've been the leader for GE Women's Network, which is a network within GE to promote diverse talent for a long time. I now lead the DNI initiative for GE within Southeast Asia. So I have working in this space for a long time. I have seen in the last 20 years a huge change which has come and which is still coming, which is all positive. And when you talk about STEM, I think encouraging girls to take up science and technology from the very beginning when they are really young is very important. So you need role models, whether it's their parents, whether it's their family, whether it's outside, but you need to see the role models more and more so that you get inspired to take this as your profession. So that's taking your profession and studying science and technology is one, and continuing in this profession is definitely another set of challenges. So those set of challenges is what I have worked on
True.
intensely in the last few years. So to make sure that the women who are coming into this profession, they stay within that profession, we give them all that support system so that they can actually make a career out of this. So that is also equally important.
What impact does it have on let's say innovation and technologies if you have diversity like this?
Oh, I mean, when you talk about innovation, innovation is not, and especially now, in today's world, innovation is not something you sit in your lab in a one corner and do it all alone. It is an interdisciplinary, inter-teams, global effort to make a product successful. And having the diverse thoughts, their minds behind, development of a technology or innovation or a product is an absolute must for it to be a successful. I'll give you an example. So when you used to have products developed for G appliances, sometimes we used to have all men team. And what we realized is the decision on buying appliances sometimes, most of the times, is women of the family who take the decision. So unless you have diverse thought behind designing those equipments, how you're going to influence the buying pattern? So, in so many ways, the innovation gets richer when you have diverse thoughts and diverse expertise behind it. So it's a must. It's not even a choice anymore.
And this brings me to the point about energy access, which you've been working on. Because even if you look at energy, if you want to bring energy to everybody in a country like India, a lot of the energy is for women who are working at home. So giving them access for clean cooking, energy, etc., is important. So give us some ideas and some sense of what kind of innovation has taken at GE on bringing affordable and renewable energy to everybody.
So, Pranjal, if you look at this space, I mean, India as a country, we have 1.3 billion people totally, and out of that, right now the government has declared that all villages, everybody, all household, 100% is electrified. Now, we really have to see what is the definition of electrification. Does it mean that you have a pole coming to your house, or does it mean that 24 by 7 you have affordable quality power where you can actually plan your life around it instead of waiting for the power to come once in a day in 24 hours and you wait for that? So what is the definition of that? So more and more, there's a tremendous progress that has happened, no doubt about it, because government has put in a lot of effort. If you look at Din Dayal Upadhyay Yojana, you look at Saubhagya scheme, there's a lot which has happened. And I would name UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, those areas. There are so many initiatives that are going on to give power to everybody. But having said that, it's still, we see a lot of cases where in villages you just have the pole, you do not have reliable power, quality power as we speak it. So to me, that is a must for enhancing your lifestyle, whether it's education at night, whether it's schools, it's computers, your livelihood, your medical centers. All of it depends on affordable and quality power availability or
But
electricity availability.
how are emerging technologies making an impact here? So are emerging technologies being able to tackle the key challenges and problems in bringing this access?
Oh, absolutely. So when you look at, the mini grids, which is actually a huge solution for this problem because you can't have grid everywhere or reliable grid everywhere. So when you look at mini grid, it's most of the time it's solar panels, and it's also your storage system. And why do you need storage system is that when you have a load which is there in the evening, when you don't have solar is available only a few hours a day. So you need to have a storage system. Even today, Pranjal, the cost of the storage system is very high. Even if you look at a country like India, we use lead acid very routinely. Even then, that is unaffordable. So, unless innovations actually bring down the cost of storage systems and the availability of that to all the villages or the ESCOs, it will be very difficult to make these mini grids viable, sustainable, and affordable. So, one is innovations around storage system, how to manage storage system. The next one is data and analytics of data. So the pattern of consumption of electricity in the villages, how it is done, how it is changing, that data is not available today to a large extent. So getting those data available through a remote monitoring system and analyzing it to kind of predict how the growth is going to happen, because this is an area where capex is really, really very difficult to get. So people do not have a lot of money to invest in this space. So you need to be very judicious on how you're going to do the capex. So having an idea about the consumption pattern is extremely important. So data analytics, data availability, collection of data, storage system, those are going to be a key innovation in this sector, and it's happening actually as we speak.
Can you share a couple of good success stories or innovative developments which have happened at GE under your guidance on this front?
Actually, we have had a couple of pilots in Bihar. It was in collaboration with Tata Power. We chose two villages and we did two pilots. Those two villages are Taipur and Belapur, which were about a couple of hours from Patna city. And both the villages didn't have. One village actually didn't have any power. Another village had very limited availability of power. So with Tata Power and us and an NGO coming together, we put together systems in place, which included a solar panel storage and a backup genset. And we had a complete remote monitoring system. So sitting in Bangalore, sitting in Tata Power HQ in Bombay, we could see that the consumption pattern, we could see how much money we are spending on diesel, everything. So that was a huge exercise for almost 1.5 years. And when I went there to this village, I've been there multiple times, but when we went there to kind of inaugurate the systems, and first time the children saw the power coming in, it was a different experience. I can't tell you, what it feels to be there. And I have been in similar situation in Africa as well. I've been to Ethiopia and many other countries in Africa doing the same thing. When that comes and the people see that their life is going to change after this, that makes this project really, really special. And we have seen the commercial loads in the daytime increasing after that. We have seen women actually taking up, after their cooking, homeschooling, taking tuitions in the evenings. So women are getting interested in education. They are encouraging their children to go to school. So many different ways access of electricity makes a difference in people's lives.
My final question, Shukla, what is your vision and what do you see as a reachable target for India as far as using technology to get energy access in the next 2 3 years? What do you think? What kind of technologies can help us get there?
So I prefer to be the ever hopeful and ever optimist. So I would like to think that in 2 to 3 years, we are going to have a majority of our villages all electrified and everybody will have access to internet. That is a very important part of our daily life and to enhance your livelihood, because so many businesses are now happening over internet. So I want to be hopeful and I want to see at least 10,000 mini grids. And I'm very excited to see Tata's efforts. I know Tata Power has pledged 10,000 mini grids to be installed in the next 2 to 3 years in India. And it is totally doable. because you have the technology, you have the manpower. We have now an immense capability in data science and analytical capability within itself, Tata's and outside. So I see that happening. It's totally doable, and there is definitely a help needed from the government side. But I think a partnership between the government and the private sector is absolutely important to make this happen. But I would like to be hopeful and see, looking around me and seeing the success stories, I think it's going to happen.
So, Shukla, my last question to you, or an important part that we'd like to know is what are the key technologies you feel can help India reach these goals? Are there specific technologies, or do you think it's going to be a suite of different applications?
So it's going to be a suite of different applications. And when you talk about technology, I would also like to bring in the idea of a very successful business model, because technology definitely helps. And I talked about a couple of them, which is, innovative storage technology, which brings down the cost substantially, which is absolutely needed at this point. Then ability to monitor these systems, because these are remote villages. So you do not have technical help available all the time. So you need to have a very robust system which can be monitored from anywhere and controlled from anywhere. And the third is the data science and data analytics on top of it, which should be over cloud. That is absolutely important. So these are three things. But along with that, the successful business model is very important, because we are talking about a sector where affordability and ability to pay is very, very limited. So how do we develop a very successful business model? And there are a few which is already available, and can we replicate and can we scale and make it available to all the villages across India? That is also very important. And the last piece, which is not the least one, is financing. How can we have financing available to the ESCOs so that they can think about putting these mini grids and give them that, maybe some subsidy, maybe the support from the government and the policy, and all of that can come together to make it possible. So it's just not one thing, it is a combination of different things that's going to make this successful.
That's wonderful, Shukla, and thank you for joining us. It's so exciting and gives you a sense of positive feeling to know that somebody like you is leading and such an important goal for India, which is both to help social development as well as economic development. Thanks so much for joining us today in this conversation.
Thank you so much.